Welcome to the CANiVISION Midwest podcast. I'm your host, Chris Jackson. Unfortunately, my co-host isn't here this week. She's probably in Michigan, Tatiana, probably in Michigan doing some great things, being a star per usual. But happy to be, if you notice, it's a different background a little bit. We're in a different location. Today we're filming out of Illinois, and I want to welcome our guests, some dope ladies that everybody should meet. Hush Chicago, Kay and Vanessa. How are y'all doing?
Great. We're doing good, yeah.
Good
to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
No doubt. No, I'm in y'all space. This is your ambiance.
Yeah.
This is your space. I'm just here visiting. You know
We're
what I mean?
happy to have you here.
Exactly.
I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you for being a graceful host. So high level, I'm excited to get to our conversation because there's a lot of things I think we could talk about. Part of our goal, our mission at the Midwest or in CANiVISION Midwest is to really discuss and talk about all things Midwest, right? There's a narrative to be told, good, the bad, the ugly, in every state in the Midwest. We've been heavy on the Michigan content. So I hopped on this opportunity to try to come out here and talk Chicago and talk Illinois a little bit. So what do y'all do? What is Hush Chicago?
Yeah, so Hush Chicago is an experiential marketing and event production agency, and we work with the cannabis industry. So we specifically work with social equity applicants and minorities.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also carry a curated jewelry collection that's cannabis and Chicago inspired.
Okay. We'll get to all of that. You see, you got some on, right?
Yeah.
There it is.
Gotta represent.
So
Gotta rock the leaf.
Gotta rock the leaf. I'm with that. So we're here in Illinois. I can talk a lot about the OGs in Michigan, people who are doing some cool things, right? From your perspective, who are some of the cool people, companies doing their thing here in Chicago and in Illinois at large, right? One person that comes to mind for me is Mike Malcolm.
Yep.
Weed Travel Food, WTF. He's the homie. Doing some cool things, really just trying to become the Anthony Bourdain.
Mike is out there.
Right?
Mike is
Absolutely.
out there. He's doing his rounds.
Word.
He's making his rounds out there.
So who are some of those people? Like who are some of those people from your perspective?
Yeah, so one company that comes in mind is Johnny's Infused. He is an infused beverage company, so he does amazing horchata drinks, cold brew coffee, and he has like these seasonal coquito drinks. So it is legit, and he also applied for a license here, for an extraction license, and he is a social equity applicant.
Okay.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten that license yet, though.
He has not. No.
Okay. All right. I think Mike applied for a dispensary license too. Okay. Cool.
Yep. Do you want to talk about the other one?
So another one is Herbal Notes.
Okay.
And that is owned by Manny Mendoza. He is a chef, a cannabis chef. So he is originally from Pilsen, where we're shooting at right now.
Okay.
And he.
Sorry, I thought we were in Chicago, everybody. Okay.
Oh, Chicago.
Go ahead.
Pilsen neighborhood in Chicago.
Got it. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
cool,
there's
cool.
like different neighborhoods out in Chicago.
Understood.
And we'll take you to another place later.
I appreciate that. All right.
Yeah, so he it does pop up cannabis dinners, and he actually was a winning contestant at Cooked with Cannabis.
Oh, that's lit.
Yeah, so he's been doing some major stuff here too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple other people. So there's a girl, her name is Jean. She goes by Jean and Jane 420. She started a movement called Movement and Medicine. So what that is incorporating body movements with cannabis, doing rituals. So we're talking about yoga, sound healing, meditation, a lot of spiritual aspects and spiritual wellness. And it's very holistic. So she also has a book club. So she really gathers a community who are into that, but who's also not. So really gathering, a lot of people of color and people who don't have access to that kind of wellness activities, I would say. That's usually, kind kind of meant for, or not meant, but it's usually
priced at a point.
Priced,
right.
yeah, exactly, where it's not accessible.
Right.
And then another person is Corey David, who goes by Professor Dab. So he's more of an influencer in the community, where he has started off in the legacy market, but now is working formally for Raw as an ambassador for them.
Cool.
And he's really just set the precedence in how to review products and to give quality, quality reviews on concentrates, on like Illinois products, on apparatuses, and just giving an honest and truthful review on them. And so a lot of people have come to him for guidance in terms of, what products to get in Illinois.
Right.
Yeah, so shout out to all those people, to Manny, Johnny, Gene, and Professor Dab.
Yes.
Word. And I'm sure there's a lot more, right, that obviously we just don't have time to go through right now. But shout out to the OGs in Chicago, too. Like I said, I think...
all minorities.
All right, no doubt. Yeah. I think the Midwest gets overlooked when it comes to cannabis. You know what I mean? There's a lot of conversation around the East Coast versus the West Coast, but we don't focus enough on what's going on
That's what I'm saying.
in the Midwest.
And that's why we created Hush, because we wanted to, create our own lane here.
Okay.
And represent Chicago.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm not mad at that at all. Hence, CANiVISION Midwest trying to get out and let's tell these stories. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Okay, so tell me more about you all. Tell me about your journey into cannabis, individually, and I guess when it all comes together.
Yeah, so we can start with some personal stories or personal backgrounds.
Yeah.
My relationship with cannabis is probably my longest relationship with anything.
Interesting.
It has been with me.
Should we dive into that further? No, go ahead. Do your thing.
That'll be another episode.
Okay.
That's going to be like a whole hour episode.
Okay, fair enough.
But you know what I mean? It's like, it's something that's been with me creatively, for personal reasons, emotionally. Something that I could use for wellness, right? So I have a belief that you choose cannabis for wellness and not intoxication, which is actually quoted from the Cannabis Manifesto that Steve DeAngelo wrote.
Okay.
But so I've been, I started smoking when I was, I'm not going to say how old I was, but over 20 years ago.
Okay.
So, and I would say that I've been an advocate for it behind the scenes for a really long time. But I come from a photography background, and then that transitioned to being a freelancer, and then eventually owning my own business. But all I can contribute my success to cannabis and give it the credit because it's been with me throughout all those times, creatively and being an entrepreneur, mindset-wise, awareness, just, self-actualization, and just growing as an individual. But it was something that I hid, it wasn't something that I was just loudly cannabis, I use cannabis, right? So it wasn't until 4 years ago where I was just I had a personal event in my life. My dad got sick, and so I literally stopped everything just to step back and be like, let me see what I'm doing with my life and reorganize my priorities. And one of the things that helped me get through it was cannabis, but also me realizing that why should I hide something that is, something that was a part of my truth, and be vocal about it and be more of a public advocate about it, because I spent so much time learning about the plant itself, and it was time for me to make a mark in the industry. And so I was like, I'm gonna be about this, this is me. I'm gonna be loud and proud about it. Lost some friends along the way, but then you realize
were they friends
they're not
anyway?
really exactly right. So it filtered out people that I didn't need in my life anymore. But it was freeing. And it was just like, okay, why can't I be a successful entrepreneur and also be associated with cannabis, So let's break that stigma, right? It's such a cliche thing to say, everyone says that, but it's this is the movement, this is the why we're here. It's every single day we have to live and move and act like our true selves and live your truth, and it's if cannabis is a big part of that, why not? be open about it.
Yeah.
And once in a generation, maybe even more opportunity, right? To make some money and to be a part of a previously prohibition industry is something pretty special. So, dope.
Exactly.
What about you, Vanessa?
So I had something completely different from that. So I started actually smoking, with friends just recreationally, like how we all did. But it wasn't until I was in college. I was going to school at Columbia College, Chicago.
Okay.
And I was going to school for photography. And so specifically beauty and fashion. So I was late night in the studio, and cannabis helped me to bring my creative juices out and continue like the momentum.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when I actually started falling in love with cannabis.
Okay.
And so I started using it more so for that purpose.
Okay.
And then so after that, I lost my cousin from suicide. And so I remember that she was taking a lot of antidepressant pills, and she kept switching her meds. And it was actually making it worse. So every time she kept changing the prescription, it completely kind of like changed her in a way. So I was kind of looking into cannabis more, but at that point, that's kind of like when I lost her. But I've been a advocate for cannabis since then.
Right.
And it wasn't until like 2 years ago where my friend, she had a private dinner party, and she invited me, and she told me it was a cannabis-infused dinner.
Okay.
So I was like, hell yeah, I'm going, I'm down. And it also blew my mind, because I'm like, whoa, there's like an underground market for the cannabis, and like, what is this? So I went to the chef's house. We had a 5-course meal, and like, in between the courses, we're having, bringing out the pre-rolls, smoking, having these conversations.
Getting hungry again.
Yeah, getting hungry again, and
yeah.
everything is amazing. And so I went by myself, and it was a group of like 12 people. So I didn't know anyone except the birthday girl. And it was amazing to be at a space where you weren't judged for consuming, where it allowed conversations to flow, and it's all based off of this beautiful plant.
No doubt.
So at that time, I had a full-time job. I was a software trainer for the hospitality industry.
Okay.
So I was going nationwide, setting up the systems, and then training the staff.
Yeah.
So I also was doing on the side, I was doing event design, events and wedding planning. And so at that time, I was kind of looking to see, like, what is my niche? Trying to find myself and trying to get into something that I was really passionate about. And so that dinner, kind of like that light bulb went up, and I was like,
this is it.
This is it.
Right.
This is where I'm going to be.
Word.
And so it wasn't until we got together shortly after that. And so we got together.
I was about to say, let's talk about us coming together.
Yeah.
So
that's a wonderful transition.
It was a great transition. You didn't even need me here. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So
we were really trying to find the synergy and what we can do together. So, we met a while back, and we didn't connect until, just a few years ago. We were both professionals. We had already both started our own businesses. And so we were both at a time too, where it was just like, are we happy with what we're doing? And do we try to find something that was, helping us to serve our purpose? And so we were just brainstorming. It was like, let's do a styled photo shoot together. Let's do a small event. Let's do this. We started doing our field work and doing research out in the community, going to, other events, underground events in the legacy market. And so brainstorming from photo shoot to just, having fun and meeting new people became, let's start a business.
Okay.
And Hush was started like in a weekend.
Yeah, it was born over a weekend, really.
Like literally.
Where does the name come from?
Well,
Why Hush?
We talked about functioning first like a secret society.
Yeah.
Right? And so
Like
we
a
wanted...
secret society.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was kind of our business model
Yeah.
at first. We knew that we wanted to bring people together and bring cannabis to a new light, bring a different experience, especially setting a high standard here in the community and the upcoming industry.
Okay.
Because there's, it's two separate things, right? And so we really wanted to set high standards for Chicago, especially comparing us to other cities who, like you were saying, like we weren't on the map, it's, so we really wanted to put Chicago on the map with the events that we did, and really it was to market Hush.
Okay.
So we decided on the name and that we were going to kind of perform in this,
like underground, like
on a hush.
Yeah, on a hush.
Right?
I'm not mad at that.
yeah, we kept it on the hush hush, right?
Kept it on the hush.
Yeah. So we wanted to do this. We were marketing, and no one knew who was behind Hush, right? So there was a lot of buzz. Yeah, there was a lot of buzz in Chicago about like, who is this new company, and they were thinking. So it was really dope to hear all the rumors that were going around.
Okay.
But they were saying like, they thought that we were like a company from California who was trying to come over here and take over the market.
That's high praise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's high praise.
We were getting a lot of shade from that too. Like, why are you coming up into Illinois being like from the West Coast? So we're like, wait, that's an assumption.
Right.
And then another thing too is that majority of people thought we were men.
Yeah.
The way that they spoke to us on our messages or emails, like, what up, bro? Like,
that's
what's
hilarious.
Yeah. It was just an assumption, right? And
Yeah.
so, because there was no face behind the company yet.
Right.
It was literally
straight
the
market.
way that we marketed it. It was we were like creeping up into the market, right? And so
That's cool.
it was very subtle. It was very sexy. It was very mysterious with the photos, and people were like, "Who are these people?"
Very intrigued.
Yeah.
We were
But people
like,
should have known by your aesthetic that it was probably women doing it.
right?
Versus men doing it, because there aren't a lot of men that got that
There's
kind
a lot of
eye.
details in this.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's funny you say that, and people still assume that
Yeah.
we were men, That's the way they were talking to us.
Which is also a problem into itself. But
That's
it's
another issue.
another issue for another podcast. But it's dope though, right? When you finally, I guess, started to reveal yourself.
We didn't until after our launch party. So
Okay.
we came out as a brand like on social media first, and just did like even old school marketing. Like we went out to high-end hotels and bars and
we went out to places that we go to,
Right.
And to be with people that will vibe with us,
Okay.
because we essentially created Hush because we grew up in the city, and we've gone out all the time, and we know, like, luckily I am like so grateful that we share the same vision,
Right.
and so it makes it so much easier and
Makes a marriage work better.
exactly.
Yes, this is my wife. Yes, this is my wife.
Work wife. I got it.
Yes,
Got you.
work wife.
For everybody out there,
Yeah.
that might be
Work
wondering.
wife, okay?
All right, cool. It would have been cool either way. It's cool either way. Cool either way. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, like we would give out these black cards that all it said was Hush, and it had the leaf on it, and that's
Nice.
all it said.
And the Instagram.
And it was like,
handle.
here, you're being given this card by us personally, and there's only like 100 of these.
Okay.
And that means you're invited as like a VIP to our New Year's Eve party, which was our launch party.
Oh,
as
that's
well.
lit.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a lunch party.
How many people ended up coming?
Woo.
Like over 300 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so it was at a warehouse. It was a 3-story warehouse that we flipped. And we had Tubzilla, who is a really big artist out here. So shout out to Tubzilla.
Shout out to
And he did a live painting at our launch event. We also had Nate's Ice, who did a live ice sculptor.
Okay.
And we surprised the guests with a bong piece.
Okay.
So people could smoke out of this
Yeah.
ice sculpture.
Yeah, it was dope. It was dope.
Who was on the ones and twos? Who did the?
So we had DJ Send and DJ K City,
Okay.
who are also pretty. They have some residencies around Chicago.
Okay.
So
Very cool.
yeah, it was nice to find people who we like, but also who was for the same vision, who
Right.
wanted to come together and be like, hell yeah, I want to be a part of this. you
That's
know?
dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. I like that a lot. Okay, so fast forward, pandemic hits.
Yeah.
Stops a little bit of everything.
Thank you. Thank you, pandemic.
Yeah, I mean,
So after.
Because I mean, I'm sorry, but like for us, right, as an operator at Sticky, shout out Sticky, by the way, come
Yes.
holler at us. At Sticky, we're in a position where our sales went up. right? We became essential, which has never been a thing. Who expected it, right? But as a lifestyle brand, I'm sure it's obviously been hard. You've made a transition.
Yeah.
Tell us about that transition.
Okay, so from our first full year doing like 12 events.
Yeah.
12 successful events to boom, pandemic, what do we do, right?
And we actually had an event like a week before we got shut down.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was our very last event, and we had scheduled events for the entire year.
Was it a banger?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it was.
It's gonna be the last.
It was a good one. It was a good one. And luckily too, we had now we're doing an annual New Year's Eve party, right? Because now that's our signature. But yeah, we had a really huge New Year's Eve party, and Illinois became legalized right on New Year's Day.
Okay.
So it was a perfect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was perfect. We had a masquerade affair. So right at midnight, everyone revealed their masks as a symbolism of prohibition and becoming and freedom. It was
Look
amazing.
at y'all creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
We
so
got some
after
stuff
that-
up our sleeves.
Yeah, no doubt,
Our sleeves, yeah, our sleeves.
Yeah, I mean, after that, it was like, what do we do,
Yeah.
right? So luckily, we created our jewelry line as well so that we can be in non-cannabis related events, right? So that we really started focusing on the jewelry end of things, but also on our marketing services. So essentially, you know, Hush is an event marketing agency. And so what we really want to do, or what we have been doing in the past, is helping small brands and startups to really enhance their brands, have people come together for events so that their brands could be seen. For example, the very last event that Vanessa was talking about that we threw, it's called Electric Cafe. And so it's like a cafe pop-up, but it's really a concept that was brought to us by a client, Johnny's Infused.
Johnny's Infused.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who really
Full circle.
Yeah.
who wanted
yeah.
to introduce his line of infused beverages to the community. And so it was like, all right, well, let's throw like a dope event around that, and so that people can sample your product, buy it, and you know, so those have been really successful, and so we want to keep doing that for other brands, right? But so during pandemic, we obviously couldn't, so we switched over to digital marketing. And
Well, before that, we have Grind and Grow.
that's right.
Yeah. So right when the pandemic hit, you know, people were at home. We weren't able to go out. Everything was shut down. So people weren't used to that, obviously. And so that was really messing up with their mental health.
Yeah.
And so we have Will Shaw. He is from Grind and Grow. And so he, you can give him a
So
spiel of
that's-
like what.
Grind and Grow is a brand that we created under Will, who is he's a martial artist, he's a gymnast, he's a circus guy.
Okay.
I don't know what you
All
call it.
things that I can't do. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Very
everything
unique.
that no one really can do. Like 80% of us can do.
Right.
But he's all about body movement, right?
Yeah.
And so we decided it was a good idea to provide a stretching session on Instagram Live.
Okay.
Like 30 minutes.
Right in the morning, just to help get people out of bed.
Yeah.
And so we created like a little mini studio, and it was just us three.
And we would stretch.
Stretch every well, not every morning, but
Every other.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it was early, 8 a.m. We would stretch for 30 minutes, and because we needed that too.
Right.
So we're like, well, if we need it, other people are
people
going to
need
need it too. And since we're doing it anyways, we might as well bring whoever along with the ride.
Participate.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And it's been it's continuing,
still
and
happening.
it's
still
actually
going.
doing really well. He's bringing in like special guests
Nice.
in the cannabis space nationwide.
Okay.
So he's been
Got
doing his thing.
sponsorships from products.
Yep.
Nice.
And so it's evolved. It's called Inhale and Stretch.
Okay.
And so that's an
Okay.
ongoing
Yeah.
thing. If you want to stretch, it's a free place to be, and you know it's a safe place for community as well.
No doubt.
So still going on. If you guys want to check it out, Instagram Grind and Grow.
Brand and Grow Chicago, Monday,
Yes.
Wednesday, Friday.
Yes.
Okay.
So
little
we did
slight,
that.
little slight plug.
That was at
Okay.
the very beginning,
Slight
you know. It was
plug.
like, that was in March, and it was
Yeah.
like, all right, you know, or April, because it was like we've been sitting at home. Let's figure something out. Let's do something for the community.
Right.
So that's been going on. It went on all year last year. It's still going on now, and then now we're working with brands in the industry. Helping them with their digital marketing, with social media marketing, influencer marketing. So really, whatever we can do remotely, and then
doing it.
even transferring to virtual and hybrid events,
Yeah.
so that we can help their brands. And now it's actually great because it's not just, you know, local attention, but now we can get nationwide and even global attention when it comes to digital.
Exactly.
So it's been great for us. I would say that despite it all, 2020 was a good year for Hush.
real. That's real.
Yeah, it was. And we've been, you know, heavily involved in Chicago organizations as well. So we're part of Chicago Normal. We're a member of the NCIA. And just this week, actually, we are part of the MAC committee, the Marketing and Communications Committee.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Advertising.
And advertising.
committee.
And advertising. It's all good. No, we got it. No, that's dope. I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so I don't want to miss this point. You mentioned skill sets that you had previously. So while I understand that owning the dispensary, owning the grow is the sexy shit to do, right? Not everybody's going to be able to obtain a license, right? And that's one of the things when I'm on forums and speaking and stuff like that, like we had that conversation. There are a lot of millionaires being made off of ancillary skill sets, right? That have to be applied to the cannabis industry at some point. And theoretically, it's exactly what you did, right? So you took your event planning background, you took your photography background, your eye for detail, aesthetics, brought it together, and then created a business within, I should say, and around the cannabis industry, right? I think that's important for people to note because everyone has a skill set that could probably, even if it isn't popular right now, eventually it will be one of those things where the cannabis industry is going to need it to some capacity, right? So how often do you think about the fact that, you know, ancillary skills applied, and then how often are you saying as a resource for Hush and you, right, collectively, even though you get paid for marketing ultimately, for the folks that come to you and say, what can I do to join the industry, how often is that conversation around ancillary businesses?
It's pretty often, and it is in our minds often. I mean, honestly, we didn't know we were an ancillary service until someone was like, oh, so you're an ancillary. And I was like, what does ancillary mean?
We're like, we went to a networking event. They were like, ancillary. We're like, oh.
We're like, yeah, okay. Look it up.
Let's look that up real quick.
So prior to being in the industry, you know, we definitely we thought about, you know, the future of Hush, and we kind of planned that out, like the big vision. We have a big vision for Hush, right? But for the meantime, we weren't thinking about applying for a license. And so, our way in and to really reach, you know, markets outside of the cannabis industry was to be an ancillary service and to have a jewelry line that was also Chicago and cannabis inspired, you know. So it brought different demographics to us, and it's definitely something I encourage for people who, I mean, especially in Illinois with the situation that we're in right now, it's, you know, the way to go is to provide an ancillary service. And because there's a lot of the applicants, for example, who need us as resources to provide the help, right? And maybe they can't find it because they already spent all their budget on, you know, everything, and didn't even think about marketing, for example, or, you know, social media being a thing. We would definitely want to be that support for minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, social equity applicants, especially to them, because we only have each other, right? And collaboration is key to this industry. It's not competition. So whatever skill or service that we have combined individually, it's like, I can put together like your impact report for the year, like real quick, you know, like that's nothing, right?
And this is why, too, another reason why we created Hush is because we wanted to involve people who wanted to get into the industry, because we also had a networking event and we had some vendors there who had the experience in the cannabis industry and just were speaking to those who wanted to get in, get involved. So we do offer spaces like that, but also, you know, a lot of education. So that's another important element to all of our events is education and linking people to the right resources.
Right.
So,
Dope. Okay, so you found your way into the industry. I think the next obvious question is, what's the legacy that you ultimately want to leave when you're done with the cannabis industry, if you're ever done with the industry?
I never even thought about leaving the cannabis industry, to be honest.
Okay, so assuming that you're going to stay in the industry,
is long term.
At some point, right, we're going. People remember something, right?
Yeah.
What is it that you want to be remembered for?
I want Hush to be remembered as a brand that helps people find their purpose through their brand messaging and through just being an entrepreneur, you know.
Really executing their vision. And it can, and that's the thing is, like, we are a testimonial of that, you know, and everyone is, because this is such a brand new industry. And there still needs to be growth. But we also have to remember to be, you know, professionals, because this is a business. So I think setting those standards.
Right.
Definitely setting a high standard. I mean, we want Hush to be the #1 agency in the cannabis industry where people come for all their, you know, business needs, promotional needs, marketing needs, event planning needs. But at the same time, we mostly want to be an impact in, you know, in personal lives as well as, and then with their relationship with cannabis, and making sure that they see that when you do things with intention, the result is different. When you do things more coming from the heart and it's with purpose, then you could definitely impact more people. And so that's the culture of Hush.
You gravitate, or people gravitate to that. And the right people will gravitate to that too.
Right.
So
it's all energy.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Which is what the industry is predicated on, by and large, right? With the exception of a few things. By and large, it's centered around community, right? What we can do to help one another, a coming together of sorts. So I really appreciate that perspective. That's dope. I like that. So really happy to be here and announce officially that Hush Chicago, Kay and Vanessa, you guys will be the market lead for the Illinois market for CANiVISION. CANiVISION Illinois, no doubt.
Thank you.
Super excited to have you on board. You have a story that needs to be told. You have access to people's stories that need to be told. And I can only do so much from Michigan at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And so, you know, appreciate you and your willingness to see the CANiVISION Midwest vision, but it fits ultimately into Hush Chicago's vision, right?
Completely.
So it's a win-win in that way. What do the folks have to look forward to on, you know, weekly, bi-weekly basis? You know what I mean? Whenever you produce content.
Yes. Lots of fun news on Illinois industry, but I think just perspective, you know, opening up people's minds, if bringing different perspectives to the table, that's what they can expect. I think that will bring a different light to the industry and the people involved in it. Lots of voices from the community as well. And that's what we're really excited about as well. And what else?
Really bringing people together and kind of highlighting, you know, the true people here in Chicago.
Right.
So, and we'll bring in lifestyle brands, healthcare, and also
sprinkle a little business in there every now and then.
Yeah, a little business.
A little business. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I look forward to it. It's gonna be fun. And I guess we can reserve the rest. I think we should leave some stuff in the bag for everybody to kind of tune in.
Stay tuned.
100%.
Yes.
Well, yo, you know, that wraps another episode of the CANiVISION Midwest podcast. Again, I'm your host. To everyone that is a follower, everyone that likes, shares, any of the above, we appreciate it. None of this happens without people wanting to engage with the content. So super appreciative of everybody out there. Kay and Vanessa, thank you for being a gracious host, having me out in your hometown.
Thank you for coming.
It's still pandemic heavy, but hopefully I can get out and see a couple of things in the city. So thank you. Thank
You're in good hands. You're in great hands.
I'm in great hands with Hush Chicago, but we're going to keep it on the hush.
Yeah, let's keep that on the hush.
See what I just did there?
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye, guys.